In this video, we're going to talk specifically about the new Control4 Halo remotes and controlling your Kaleidoscape system with the Halos. Is there anything special? What are some recommendations that I found a really good configuration to maximize the power and the options of the buttons available on the non-touch Halo remote for a Kaleidoscape? Let's cover all of it. All right, here we are first in Control4 Home Composer, looking at my theater room and the Kaleidoscape with the driver installed in my system, and we're going to talk about how this driver works and how specifically I've kind of laid out what I consider to be a really great control setup, configuration, and mapping using the Halo. I think first of all, let's point out I am using here version 2.01 of the Control4 integration driver for this system. Lots of nice documentation in here. Really great. If you can do some really advanced programming with Control4 and Kaleidoscape, and I take advantage of a whole bunch of that. There's some other videos on the channel that show some of those advanced programming capability, but in this video I want to focus specifically on the remote. And we have two sections of kind of button bindings in order to manage what the buttons on the remote are doing. We have a section here for media playback key bindings, meaning these are the functions and actions of the buttons when content is playing on the Kaleidoscape system. And then we have on-screen display key bindings, so that controls when we're basically at the menus. What are the buttons doing? And if we look here, we can bind a whole bunch of these, including for the non-touch remotes, or effectively in SR260, we have kind of the 1, 2, and 3 customizable buttons. I'm not using those, particularly with the Halo. I have those bound to separate programming actions for my overall system, not necessarily something Kaleidoscape specific. But in any case, here you can see we can control red, green, yellow, blue color buttons, channel up and down, guide, DVR, previous, and a few of these others. Note that the Halo is a little bit different than the SR260. So up here we have a star and a pound key. On the SR260, the star and the pound were kind of the extra buttons next to the 0 on the numpad. On the Halo, we don't have star and pound. We have a default information button, and then we have an actuation button for the colors themselves. So these don't actually work here with the Halo, but that's fine. We don't even need them. So in terms of media playback for the colors, I do bind the colors. I don't think the colors actually really do all that much actually in the Kaleidoscape system, but we don't really need them for anything else. So I just keep them bound this way in case something kind of comes along. Note here, channel up and down, the buttons to the right of the D-pad on the Halo, I have bound to page up and page down. Guide key I use for toggle intermission. The intermission is a special mode of the Kaleidoscape. Somebody needs to get up during a movie, go to the bathroom, get a drink, refresh their popcorn, whatever that might be. Intermission is perfect, and having just a one quick button access to it is really great. Record key I actually use here for selecting subtitles, a very easy way to get through subtitles without having to go to the menu. And then I love this. I love this. The previous key bound to that skip back 5 seconds. There's room for improvement there. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but it's just fantastic being able to have that at your fingertips. Now, on-screen display. What I do here is I do bind the color keys, and this I think was linked a little bit by default, but I think I made a couple of changes here. The colors I use for quick jumping to very specific sections of the UI. We've got movie list, cover, store, and our personal collections. Channel up and down, still used for page up, page down, so that we can quick jump, particularly in the list view of the movies in the UI. Guide is our quick access to the shuffle button, which is awesome, and previous, sitting right next to guide, lets us go right back to an alphabetized view of the movie cover art wall. And then our DVR key, sitting just below that, is what we call change movie place. So let's see how all of this works in action actually on a live Kaleidoscape system. All right, so here we are live in the living room, LG 83-inch G2 running the Kaleidoscape. Of course, I do a multi-zone, zone 2. I use the Kaleidoscape predominantly in my theater, but because of zone 2 switching and matrixing, I'm able to also access my Kaleidoscape here. We'll be showing off some of these specific controls of the Halo remote. So we're in the menu here, right? Up, down, left, and right. And I should have mentioned as well, I don't have another Kaleidescape remote in my left hand. They don't actually include remotes with the system anymore. They basically assume that you're using something like this, a more advanced control system, or if you don't have that, you could use an app-based control for your phone. So up, down, left, right, enter to view something, right? All of this stuff works. Back to dismiss that. That's default. That's bound by default. We didn't actually map those types of controls. However, let's talk about some of these more advanced ones. First off, guide and previous. So I talked about having shuffle bound to guide. There we go. Shuffle on solo. We see more Star Wars movies. Shuffle on Star Trek. You know, we see other movies like that. Hit previous. Boom, we're instantly back to the alphabetized list. This actually, in my opinion, is so fantastic because it makes shuffle usable. I don't use shuffle by default. I set my Kaleidescape in the alphabetized view, but sometimes it's cool to show this off. It's whiz-bang, it's neat. People come over, maybe that they're not home theater aficionados like all of us are. You want to show them something cool, show them the shuffle. But having instant button access to be able to do the shuffle and go right back to the alphabetized list makes it actually usable. Now, I talked about the DVR button, right? Jumping between, or toggling between the different parts of the UI. There's the covers. There's my collections. This one will take a second to load. It's the movie store. There we go. And then here's the list view. One button, quick jumping you in and out of these different sections. That is so much better, you know, than hitting like menu, navigating over, up, down, left, right, wherever it is that you're trying to get in the UI. And again, because we have the non-touch version, we have access to the color buttons. I can also use the colors as I bound them to get me to these different sections. Although quite honestly, having the basically the section jump right on the DVR to me actually works faster than finding the color button, activating the color button, and then switching where you may be in the UI because of that. Which is one reason as well, again here with the Control4 non-touch Halo, I may be inclined to actually prefer the touch because the numpad and the colors, they're not really all that necessary to get all the capability and control out of these remotes. If you have the touch version of this remote, you essentially have everything, all the transport controls, you have the guide, you have the previous, you have the DVR, and you get all of that. I mentioned binding channel up and down for the quick jumps. That's usable here in the list view. Awesome, right next to the selector. So if you have a lot of movies downloaded, you have a big Terra server, you can get through it like that. Quick press of the DVR button, and we're right back here. Of course, the big jumps, the channel up and down jumps, they don't do anything on this view. This is single navigation, up, down, left, right, and around the UI. So I'm very happy with this. This makes navigating and managing the Kaleidescape system with the Control4 remote so much better than a Neo. And yes, I will admit there is nothing special really happening here so much that you can't already do on an SR260. I hope that as time goes by with these Halos, that maybe we'll see some more features. So hey, Kaleidescape, Control4, have a meeting, get together. Think about what advanced capabilities, what advanced control options and other things you might be able to do together, and let's see it in a driver upgrade, in a Kaleidescape KOS software upgrade. I'm waiting. Impress me, delight me. All right, so if I start some playback, let's talk about some of those specific playback bindings. Try and do this without actually showing any video in the background too much. All right, so I've got a movie started back there. A couple things we can do. The info button, this is one thing that I do like. I guess maybe having the numpad is the dedicated info button down on the bottom does pull up the info screen there on the Kaleidescape. So I talked about a few things here. If I hit the record button, there we go. I'm jumping between subtitles, French, Spanish, subtitles off. There's my English SDH, there's my English regular. Going to go back to subtitles off because that's generally how I use it. But if I really like this, otherwise your alternative is to basically pull up the info screen, navigate over to subtitles, pick the one that you want. And while we have hard buttons to do that, that does in fact make it easier. Getting the quick access to the subtitle toggle, I think during playback is one really powerful operation. The other one that I just love is, again, the previous button bound to that 5-second skip back. I can hit it, I can hit it, and I can just keep going back 5 seconds at a time. There's a little bit of a delay there. It takes a second, of course, for it to go through. But this operation, on a hard button, quick access, no jumping through anything, is just so invaluable, especially for the old man, old woman ears out there watching a movie. Somebody says something, you didn't catch what they said, or there's a really cool sequence and you just want to kind of quickly check it out again or watch it again. Previous, boom, 5 seconds. And again, you can compound it. So you hit that, you want more, you want a 15-second skip. Previous will get you back 15 seconds. The commands are queued and they execute just like you would expect them to. Works great. The only thing I could ask is, if it's possible, Kaleidoscape, copy Apple TV in this regard. And when I hit previous, give me a strato kind of playback configuration option to say that when I do the 5-second skip back, turn on the subtitles. And then after the amount of time that I skipped back has expired, turn them back off again automatically. Particularly in the times where you're skipping back to catch something that somebody said, having the subtitles turn on would be awesome. But even without that, we've got skip back, and again, we've got the subtitle toggle right on a button just an inch or so away. And so, if I really had to skip back and enable the subtitles, I can do it quickly, efficiently, and all of that here with the buttons kind of as they're mapped. So there's not much else to it. Those up and down buttons there that we mapped the channel up and down give us some quick jumps for chapters there, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10. Equivalent to the chapter skips that are available in the transport controls of the remote. But I think that's a nice thing to kind of just have some compound control for up and down. And then lastly, that guide button, boom, one press of guide, intermission, movie's paused, we see the nice movie poster. And the main value here is if you have the rest of your system set up on Control 4, you can trigger other cues off of hitting the intermission button. Most specifically, turn the lights back on in the room. You're probably going to intermission because somebody's got to get up, maybe leave the room, do their business, get some popcorn, whatever it might be, get a new drink. Intermission in, hit it again, intermission out. And you can have whatever other programming triggers and responses to that you may like to see enabled. Predominantly for me, it's just lights. It's still fantastic. It really impresses. It's very convenient and all of that nonetheless. So we have the ability for voice control here on the new Halo remotes. There is nothing specific to controlling Kaleidoscape via voice. And again, really nothing else that's specifically empowered by the Halo. You can do the majority of this, or pretty much all of this essentially, on an SR260. You can't do this stuff on a Neo, and so that leaves me, in my opinion, this is such a superior experience controlling, navigating, and using a Kaleidoscape with Control 4 using the non-touch Halo versus that Neo. We'll see how the touch Halo, when it comes, does, if there's anything special there with regards to Kaleidoscape, and I'll put out the open challenge again. Control 4, have a meeting, figure out some things, and delight us with new capabilities and all of that with your remote controls. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope this video helped you. If you've got a Kaleidoscape in Control 4 and you have some preferable bindings, is there a feature or a function or something that I kind of overlooked, maybe taking advantage of with the configuration and the hard buttons? Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you have set up and if there's any ways to kind of further improve the configuration here that I've been working on. Otherwise, please do all that regular YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share the video, and if you'd like to support the channel, of course, there's lots of ways to do that. Super thanks, channel memberships, Amazon affiliate links, and if you are interested in Kaleidoscape, I have a referral code. It will give me a small movie credit if you use it when you buy and or register a Kaleidoscape system, and you get movie credit too. So, win-win situation. Check out the other videos that I've done here about the Halo remote, specifically the last one where I broke down how I use the Halo in configuration options for Apple TV. I'm loving this thing. I highly recommend it. Thanks so much for watching. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun.